YouTube, part 3. Just as well I made it a 3-parter, or it's probably going to be a 4-parter, because currently it would definitely be over an hour long. So 3 smaller chunks, still 20 minutes. I can't stop talking about these things. So this is the one of, is it the best guitar I've got? So the point was here, I was thinking of my Roadsters. I will be reiterating what I said at the start of the first video, which is for the Blazer. It's so difficult to point to something that's behind you when you're looking at the mirror. The Blazer, and then the second one was the Roadster. So these are my 3 Roadsters, even though it's a Blazer. But Ibanez, evolution of Ibanez better than a Strat type guitars. And I've rated both of them 9, and that's the best guitar I've ever played. And then that's the best guitar I've ever played, because that's the one I'm playing just now. Well, not right now. Right now, it's probably going to be this one. This is this is a belter. Look at, I don't know. You look at it there. It's kind of, it's a wee bit. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Fender Antigua finish, but much nicer. It's, someone actually mentioned, is this the famous Japanese pearl white? So the back is the famous Japanese pearl white, as is the edges. The top, if I didn't have as many fingerprints on it, as you can see, it's a piece of very figured maple painted black, or stained black. It's ridiculous. So this is in the same year as the RG140. This is an RG530BP for black pearl, as in black, the famous pearl white around the outside. It's also, so it's a little bit more, it's basically the same range as that, but this, it's in the catalogue, it's the Roadstar Deluxe. That's a Roadstar Standard, which I didn't mention. And it's like, to be honest, it's kind of the same guitar as the red one, in many ways. It's got more fancy stuff on it. So this one has, as it says, it's got the fancy top on it, the flame maple or whatever it is, with lots of fingerprints on it, which I should really just... You can sort of see it there. Stunning thing. This has the Edge Floyd Rose. This is the first Ibanez to have a Floyd Rose on it. Before they had their own Power Rocker and Pro Rockers. This is the Edge, not the U2 guitarist. So the reason it's called the Edge is because the actual part, actually reading up on it, all the catalogues are online on Ibanez.com. If you look at, what's the word? There's a menu down the left, and it's support, customer support or something. If you go into that and highlight, because one of the things is catalogues, and then it shows you the current catalogue, but there's also a backlog of catalogues from the 80s and stuff, or from the 60s up until now, so you can find your guitar. And the catalogue's actually pretty good. They kind of got a page on each, whenever they introduce a new bridge and all that stuff. It's really quite good. It's worth looking up, but it tells you about this, how it's like they've used a new system, wax casting, which means that they can cast the block out of a much better grade of metal because of waxless pat. Look it up. It's worth reading the page on the bridge alone just to see what it is. But the whole reason it's called the Edge is because normally in a Floyd, the base plate is what touches the 2 pins that rotate it, and this one's got an insert which might even be replaceable, and that goes in there, so it's actually a piece of titanium or stainless steel or something that actually touches the bridge posts, so it doesn't wear out. This also has the Floyd Rose clamp on the top here, and it's the matching headstock with the ultimate expression of craftsmanship, and a couple of really annoying wee dents there, which you can see, but that's fine. It's all right. I don't mind. Not claiming it to be perfect. Yeah. So this one, 24 frets instead of 22. It's kind of like a slight alteration on the Red Allen Holdsworth shape, so it doesn't have a. It's not as rounded on the top. But which I'd never really noticed before. See, when you get binding on the top of a guitar, you normally get quite a sharp edge. Because get binding on it. No, not in this. This has got binding and then it's smoothed off. It's like wee things like that. I don't think you get guitars like that. Binding's always a, like a right angled thing. So when you're playing and you get your arm rubbing on it, it hurts. No, this is rounded. Especially around there, it's like, that must be a really expensive way of doing it. So we've got 24 frets, we've got, these are IBZ, they're called pickups, so it's their own proprietary pickups, again with the 2 screws on the top and the bottom. Actually, all the three I've got pickups that you can adjust this way as well as that way and this way, which you don't seem to get anymore. People obviously don't need that. Cheaper to make them not do that. Yeah, and the modification I made actually earlier on during the week was these stupid push-pull pots. But in fact, this is the ones that are out, that I've said before. So you push it down for humbucker and up for single coil. Dual sound, they're actually called in the catalogue. I've replaced these with push-pull pots, so I can look at that and go, oh look, they're up, we're in single coil mode. Oh look, it's down, it's a humbucker. Much easier. It means I'll be able to play this guitar without complaining about the fact that I never know whether it's in humbucker or single coil mode. I left the knobs the same way around as they were, so it's neck volume, bridge volume, master tone. ESP do it the other way, they've got volume. I'm just kind of used to it. To be honest, it's kind of easier. See where the bridge arm sits? It's kind of easier to get to the middle one for your bridge pickup anyway, I think. So I'm starting all the other guitars off with the neck pickup. Which, to be honest, I don't think sounds exactly like a single coil. Bridge. That sounds like a single coil. And then both on at the same time. That sounds like a single coil. But because I've got the two separate push-pulls, I've also got the other sounds. I was going to say it's only got 6 sounds. But no, it's got more than that, because you've got, you can have the bridge as a humbucker and the neck as a single coil. Actually, I used to always, on my Schecter telly, I always had the bridge pickup as a neck, as a, which way around was it? Aye, I had a humbucker in the neck and a single coil in the bridge. Which kind of gives you both, but you can actually mix between them. Which makes it very versatile. There's a neck on its own. Now there's a neck humbucker on its own. Now you add in the bridge pickup just a little on single. A wee bit of sparkle. So what does this have? It's got the Ibanez Smooth 2 tuners on it, which are just Gotoh branded fantastic. This is from the era, round about this time is when people wanted EMG looking pickups and black hardware. You can sort of tell guitars, there are some slightly before 1986. I think Schecter, like the original American Schecter, were one of the first people to do black hardware. But round about 1986, if you find a Super Strat guitar or something like that, and it's got black tuners and black bridge, it's pretty much 1986 onwards. I don't think it was a thing until then. I'm trying to think if I've seen any. There might be a few little stragglers, but that was the fashion. Very fashion conscious were the 80s. Pre-hair metal, perhaps. I mean, I tend to think it's quite a lot of them look a bit sort of, a bit cheap, not cheap, tinky, sort of, you know, this not classy. Whereas for me, this guitar just oozes class just by the looks of it. Regardless of it being pure and amazing, it's just got that look, and it's like you're seeing it in a picture. When you see it in person, it really is just like pure whoa. It's like the pedal, the way the pedal's got that sort of amber yellow colour, and it's got like a real depth to it. You don't see in a photo or anything like that. You can only see it in person. I said this one's serial number again on the end, RG530. Still got the sticker in the back. It says RG530. I'm sure I said 530 earlier on. So yeah, and this one's got a painted neck, which are quite nice. So it's different enough from the red one, but these are things that kind of from the red one to this one. Does it make it better? Sort of, because it looks better. So it's more desirable when you play it. It feels more expensive, but it's still the same build. This also, incidentally, still has the original, which my red one doesn't have. See these strap locks, the sort of triangular shaped things. They're very expensive to buy. Oh, they're very expensive. Mr. Whitesnake told me they were £80 for a pair of them, sort of thing now. The red one should have them, but actually it didn't have them. It instead didn't even have strap buttons. Instead it had like a wood screw with a washer around it. So I don't know why they go off. I wonder if they were maybe taken off to put in another guitar. I don't think they're not a super brilliant thing. It makes it pretty annoying and difficult to put the actual strap on, but it means it doesn't fall off. But they are incredibly expensive to buy. If anyone's want to donate them to me, I'll have them. So maybe there'll be a case for me looking for another Roadstar that has them on it, just if it's cheap enough. Like one that's been run over by a car or something like that. You know, it's like the neck's crushed, the body's smashed, all the electrics are missing. You know, it's like, it's got enough parts. It's 50 quid. If it's 50 quid, the neck's just, the pickups are gone, the neck's crushed, the bridge is gone, and the body's split in half. 50 quid for the tuners and those things. Seems all right. Aye, maybe have a look at that. Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's because of these stupid pots, which I've now no longer got. I've criminally underplayed this guitar. I didn't know what this guitar was. It was my pal Scott who was like, up here, oh, you've got one of them. Up here, I totally. Isn't that amazing colour? He's like, fuck the colour. Look at the guitar itself, and it's like, he's like, up here, as a direct quote, it's better than anything the Americans were making at that time. I'm not going to argue with him. It really is. It's a really classy thing. Incidentally, I always mention this guitar. The Gary Moore Out in the Fields, or Out in the Streets, Out in the Fields. This is the guitar he played it on. His was black. He didn't have the cool coloured one. This are definitely available in red with black binding, black, possibly with red binding, and this, but with, instead of having like the dark green, I don't know, it just says black to me. It's got a green tint to it somewhere, a forest green thing going on somewhere in that for me. There's this one, and there's one that's got like a cherry red, dark red, which I've never seen in person, but I've seen photos of, and it doesn't look as good as this one. This one's much rarer. Even the guy from is it Switzerland or in Europe somewhere, who's got over 200 Ibanez Roadsters or something like that. He's a collector and he builds guitars for a job, and he offered me one of these in black, either a Telecaster or a Stratocaster that he'd built, like a proper pro level hand built guitar, and he would pay all shipping to swap for this one. It was up here. I kind of get scared off it a little bit. I didn't do the deal, although a hand-built Telecaster would have been lovely. But it's the fact that he had a few of these. He had them all the other colours. He'd never seen this one. And I paid for. I haggled like mad for this. This was on eBay. Like if you didn't see it, you missed it. Maybe, I don't know how many years ago it was. Possibly like maybe less than 10. I think. When did I start YouTube? Did I already have it? When did I sell the Hondo 757? Which the reason I sold the Hondo was because back then I was thinking, I don't want, why would I have two Strats? And it's a sort of similar shape to this, but this one's a much better guitar, so I sold that and I sold the Hondo. In fact, actually I sold the Hondo for more than I bought this for. Wheeling and dealing, gotta love it. But I just can't get enough of this guitar. I'm going to start using this live now that it's got I've changed the pots on it. I think this is going to be the next Cranking House guitar. Just like, you know, it's so interesting to me. Maybe not to everybody, but I mean, you say you've got like a £1,500 Fender Strat, you know, like an expensive one. It's like, how interesting is that? It's like, look at it. It's like they only made it for a year. Oh, it's an Ibanez. Oh, it's an Ibanez. Oh, it's a Japanese. Of course, it's Japanese. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's something special. Ridiculously so. It's almost to the point of it being a little bit scary to play, because it's got so much class on it. I worry about not being good enough for this guitar. That one, the blade, so difficult to point behind you. The Blazer's a bit, because it's been, I got it for peanuts and I painted it stupid. I kind of feel like I own that, and that one, because it's the cheap one. And the Rangers up here, yeah, I can be all over. This one is, I'm not really feel like I'm good enough to play it properly. Yeah, there's a little bit of that in there. It's just wonderful though. Rat pedal. This one, which I noticed, it does the ka-chunk thing. The Floyd Rose totally returns to pitch perfectly as well. I've not really been using that much, so now that I've said that, I bet you it doesn't, because I've not stretched the strings in properly. Neck pickup. I do need to, you can see that tremolo bar is one of those ones that's got the wee plastic bits on it. You can actually buy new wee plastic bits for it. I wonder if there's any way I could cheat. Because they're a £5 for 2 wee plastic bits, which to be honest is totally worth it for the guitar. But I'm now sitting here wondering if I could, if there was some way of, see if I popped it off and then put like maybe a wee tiny bit of cardboard or something behind it, put it back on again, would that expand it a little bit? The problem is it doesn't quite, it clips in and stuff, but it doesn't want to stay. Just by taking it out and putting it back in again, it is now staying in the position. I think, see, just the way I was sitting there just fidgeting with it, so I don't need to change them, it's now staying there. I don't like tremolo bars that flop down. Never play up high again. Another thing which actually says in the brochure for the edge trem is where these are, which I think is relatively common now, but back in 1986, an actual Floyd Rose, these kind of stuck up the way, so you couldn't, they wasn't that good for palm muting. This one's totally great. That's me, I can fully get my hand on the bridge behind the strings. Now I could go single coil, I know it's in single coil. So, again, on the rating system, this guitar's a 9 out of 10. Again, as good as you can get. 9 plus. They're all 9 plus. 9 point something is fine. I suppose you could get a 9.9, but I'm not going that detailed. It's just, I think it's the prettiest guitar there is. So I mean, I suppose that this is the third video, so I've got to decide which is the best of these three, and they can't be. It's like choosing your favourite kids, although you probably maybe have a favourite kid, but maybe my problem with this would be I wouldn't, because it's got a bit of value to it and a bit of rarity to it, which the roadstar isn't really rare at all. The Blazer's a little bit rarer, but not really, and also because it's been painted. So I would rather scratch both of them than scratch this one. You know, as in, you're going to hit one with a hammer. I'd rather you hit both of them with a hammer than hit this with a hammer. So there's maybe a slight element of getting pinchedness to it, just because it's not super valuable. You know, it's not like it's not worth as much as a Les Paul or an American Strat or something. It's better than both of them significantly and more interesting, but it's got that thing where it's like the same thing as the wee Squire Bullet's got as well. Try and find another one. Oh, I've only ever seen one in this colour anyway. I've maybe seen a couple in other colours, but not that many. Only made for a year. You know, the following year, 1987, was the year of the RG. This is an RG, the RG550 shape. So, although apparently because you can look them up on the Ibanez catalogue, have I mentioned that? Yeah, I probably have. I've definitely mentioned it in the other videos. You can look in 1987, when it's really only the RG550 and the Gem are what we now class as RG shaped. There are still various ones like this, but Ibanez progressed every year. They brought out different guitars, and they've done it from the start as well. Every year is different. They've brought out different ones, and they kind of just, if something maybe didn't sell that well, I mean, it can't really have sold well enough, I suppose, or maybe it was slightly too expensive to make or something. Otherwise, they would obviously, you're not going to make a guitar, it's your best-selling guitar, oh, we'll cancel that one. You know, it's like, it must have not, maybe too far ahead of its time. I mean, I still think this is, if it didn't say Ibanez on it and it didn't have this headstock shape, you would just assume it was like a handmade special one-off NAMM special thing, like a PRS or something like that. It's got that look of, who custom made that for you? And it's like, no, it's just a stock Ibanez. And so we'll see what happens. That's me now committed to saying I'm not buying any more Roadstars. I'm kind of tempted to buy a Roadstar. No, a Roadster, the first one, but not really. No, I don't. I mean, I've got 3 single coils, so it's the strattiest one. It does have the powerful pickups in it. And then you've got the one with the 2 humbuckers in it, the Floyd Rose. And then you've got pretty much exactly in the middle between the two, where you've got like an HSS, slightly less powerful pickups, and it's got that bridge, which is kind of almost as stable as a Floyd Rose, but you don't need to faff about with these things. Which, to be fair, I've really done very little. When I change the strings on this, that's when you set it up, and then apart from that, the thing doesn't go out of tune. It's when the thing about the Floyd Rose is, I mean, I know it's saying it's made out of that special hard metal, and it's got it's really a cheap Floyd. There's an awful lot of bits in a Floyd Rose. Like, see if you compare it to like a Telecaster bridge or even like a P-bass bridge. Just because there's a P-bass bridge sitting there. I mean, I've actually got the original bridge for this. Like, there. So that's like this is an 80s area. I got this off my pal Scott, and he didn't have the bridge for it. He said he'd find it somewhere, and I put this. I don't know if it's sort of a stag or something. It's just a piece of metal with 4 saddles on it. There's not really that much you can do different. It's like, you can use a thicker piece of metal. As long as it's not too thin, it's like, make any difference. But I do actually have the original one. The problem is, the original one's just slightly shorter, and I've put 2 new screw holes in it, so I never bothered putting it on. But there's so little in it that there's not really any improvement to be made on that design. You know, it's like, as long as it's not made of really thin metal, it's like, that's it. Whereas on a Floyd Rose, there's lots and lots of bits, and they all have to be really good. So if you're buying, I mean, even, you're buying a guitar for a couple £100 new that's got a Floyd Rose on it. See, like a go-to Floyd Rose costs like £300. just for the Floyd Rose. So you're buying a guitar for 200 that's got a Floyd Rose on it. It's like, how good's that going to be? Actually, I put a Floyd Rose, a new one off Amazon. It was only 15 quid or something like that on Blacktooth Fox's guitar that I sold him. He knew that. I told him that. And he's like, pure brilliant. The Floyd Rose just pure returns to pitch perfectly and stuff like that. And it's like, part of the reason for that is because it's brand new and it's only been messed about with through someone who knew what they were doing. The problem with this could probably take it, like a Gotoh one or a Scholler could probably take a bit of fanning about with it with someone who doesn't know what they're doing. The problem is if you've got like a budget guitar from the last 20 years that's got a Floyd Rose on it, I don't know. Someone who doesn't know what they're doing, maybe tighten up that screw a little bit too tight and kind of threaded it a little bit, lost some bits of it. And the accuracy, there's so many pieces that have to fit perfectly for it to return to pitch properly. I was telling you about you know, the sort of the brrr. You can only do that with really good ones. So there you go. 3 videos, over an hour. I was going to put them out consecutive days, I think, rather than putting them all out in one. I was thinking of just putting them out, you know, like at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But that'd be a bit of a thing, wouldn't it? And I kind of knew what the result was going to be with which is the best one, and it's like none of them are the best one. They're all 9 out of 10, all pretty much flawless guitars. There's been an element of personal taste in there. If someone was to offer you the 3 of them, so you can have one of these 3, which one do you want? You've got to take this one. Look at it. But if you're going to play one tonight, where are you playing? How comfortable are you taking it out the house? That would be where those two have an advantage. Those two have an advantage there. Kind of, I would throw them about a bit more, put it that way, and I wouldn't be that gutted if it got scratched or dented or spilt a beer on it or something like that. Whereas this would be like pure, spill a beer on this, I will stick my foot through your face before the beers hit the, you know, before you finish the beer that you spilt on it. And I don't think there's any other roadsters I would buy. Bearing in mind, of course, I'm gonna, if I see another Blazer or one of them for 25 quid, I mean, fuck's sake. Oh, if you're not buying that, and you know what it is, it doesn't matter if you don't play the guitar. If you know what it is, of course you're gonna buy it. Of course you are. But I mean, my consolation to the guy who I bought it, I need a shout out for him. He had definitely, it was Gumtree, so he definitely had the option to either just not answer the door. I did drive for an hour to go and see him though, and he was like, "You're going to make a killing on this. I've had 20 phone calls since you phoned before I pulled the advert." And I was like, yeah, don't worry, I'm keeping it. It's for me. I had a shot. I told the truth. I had a shot of one of these a few weeks ago. The guy wouldn't sell it. I was setting it up. I want one for myself. This is the one I want. And he's like, all right, okay. I was like, no, this is totally for me. And then, I don't know, the week later, I was like, I sent him a picture going, here's your guitar now. And it's like, and I think I even sent him a video of me playing it in Cranking House. Like, this is my guitar. And he was like, oh, that's maybe lessened the impact a little bit. But I mean, you don't know about these things. I mean, the same with that red one. It was sitting there. I think the guy had it for 15 years or something. I didn't even play the guitar, but I think one of his pals owed him money for something, for concert tickets or something, and just gave him the guitar instead, and he just kept the guitar, and it basically just sat in his living room, and his wife liked it. He said she liked the look of it. It was kind of like it was an ornament basically. I'd even had a matching red and black stand, which I got with it. I'm going to miss it. It's like nobody's ever played it. I think occasionally maybe one of their pals would come over and have a wee strum on it, but the strings on it were 10 years old, but they didn't know what it was, and it was only worth that amount of money to them, because that was the guy probably owed him, I don't know, 50 quid or something like that 15 years ago, or 100 quid, and that's well, I'll sell the guitar for that at 110. So that's put it up for 110, assuming someone's going to say, oh, I'll give you 90 and you go 100, deal, that kind of thing. I didn't haggle. I know a lot of people that would. If you see something like that, 110 quid, the guy doesn't know what he's got. 110 is a very obvious. If I'd said I'll give you 80, I'm sure I would have got it, but what's the advantage to that? I'm already getting a guitar that's an absolute killer. For even if it was the price that they, you see them for 250 odd, even if it was 250, that's still a shitload of a guitar for 250. Try and find something that good for that price. There isn't anything that comes for that price. That's the new Westone Spectrum. I would have these over the Westones, to be honest, definitely. But then maybe I'm just becoming an Ibanez fanboy. I think they're probably maybe a bit more desirable because of Ibanez. But then again, Ibanez, does it help them, the Steve Vai, Joe Satriani thing, the Ibanez thing? And also they've always made cheaper guitars. Like even now, I think the cheapest Geo's like, I don't know, where they start at 120 quid, 130 quid or something like that. They're still really good, but people remember that, oh yeah, Ibanez, what's an Ibanez? Oh, they're sort of cheap ones. They don't think, oh, it's a Fender. They are hundreds of pounds. It doesn't matter whether it's better than a Fender or not. It's the fact that it's got that, it's maybe tainted by that, and also the pure, I don't really like Steve Vai. So you can still like his guitar. I mean, I can't play anything by Alan Holdsworth. I can't even play a note. Well, I'm sure at some point, if you found it, there must be a bit where he just plays one note between two other notes. I could probably play that. But he still might have a really good taste in guitars. Half an hour this time. Rock on, love you all, and I'll probably not do the other video just now. I was going to do one where I'm kind of, like doing the pause thing, putting a backing track, doing the pause and play on the neck pickup and the three of them, and that. But I'll leave that for another day. Rock on. Catch you later.